Hi friends, hi everyone. I've got a lot of requests over the last couple of months to prepare educational videos on what is happening globally in the market. So, here is my first video, which is on Brexit. So what I will try to do in this video is just give you a very high level glimpse of whatever is happening globally in the market right now in terms of Brexit and what are the things you should watch out for in the upcoming few months. Okay, so let's start with the EU because Brexit has two major components, EU and Britain. Okay, so what is actually happening is, EU is basically a composite of 28 European countries, which basically began after World War II. Right, and the main reason why the European Union concept started was that it can foster economic cooperation. That is, if all the countries are dealing among themselves and working together, then there is a very less chance of having another world war, and it can foster economic progress in that way. To be honest, like after World War II, this EU has settled in quite well, and we have seen that it has grown into a single large market with its own currency, and also its own parliaments and everything. So in a way, the EU concept has been pretty successful after World War II. Obviously, we have seen ups and downs, like some country being stronger, some country being weaker. So it hasn't necessarily always helped in that way. And that's one of the major reason why Britain wants to leave EU. Reason being that Britons feel that it is one of the strongest country among all the 28 countries. So why it should bear the burden of other 27 countries, whereas it's in a strong foothold of itself to make its own future in that way. Yeah. So what really happened, some of the key dates which you should remember is like 23rd of June 2016. June 2016. This is a key date because on this date a referendum took place. In which 71%, there was a 71.8% turnout of the voters all over UK. And what this referendum was all about was like whether Britain should remain in EU or whether Britain should exit EU, and that's where the term of Brexit comes. So Brexit, if you try to examine the term, is Britain plus exit in some way. So what really happened in this referendum was like the person who among the entire Britain, like 51.9% of the people voted that Britain should basically leave the EU, and the remaining was obviously the balancing amount, which is 48.1%. So the key thing was like, because of this referendum, which was a democratic in nature, the public voted that Britain should basically go out of EU and make its own future in its own way. And just to give a further split, which drove a lot of controversy, England, we have four major part which made up this overall leave and remain ratio. It was England, we have Wales, we have Scotland, and we have Northern Ireland. In England, majority of the people voted that UK should basically leave out of EU, which is 53.4% people voted for that. In Wales, 52.5% people voted that we should leave out of EU. Scotland and Northern Ireland basically voted to remain in EU. That was a major controversy. They didn't voted to leave the EU like England and Wales. In Scotland, 38% of the people only voted to go out of EU, and whereas in Northern Ireland it was 42.2%. So, given that the overall mandate was 51.9%, it means that all the 4 regions will basically be out of EU in the coming times. Okay. Now, so few of the important things to consider over here is like you will keep on hearing on the news or you will keep on reading on the internet something called Article 50. What is this Article 50 then? So what this Article 50 basically is like the referendum what we initially mentioned just few minutes back was more like a democratic process wherein the government is trying to get people vote that what they want, right? But in order to leave the EU, Article 50 of the Lisbon Treaty needs to be triggered. And what this Article 50 does is it gives two sides, which is Britain and EU, 2 years time to negotiate on how it's going to look after once basically Britain leaves the EU, how the trade deals, how the resident status of the people who are working in each other countries, basically in each other territories, how will the business grow, how will XYZ things happens once basically Britain leaves the EU. That was the whole that was the whole idea of this Article 50. So Theresa May basically triggered this article on 29th of March 2017 basically, which means that the due date being 2 years from this point of time, like it's supposed to be 29th of March 19. So on 29th of March 19, Britain is expected to leave EU, and that's where the whole timeline is being worked upon. Theresa May has been negotiating with the European Union for last few months regarding the trade deals and a lot of other uncertainities which I just spoke about, so that when Britain leaves EU, everything is sorted out and each country has its got own set of rules which they can follow in some way, right? Now a major change came on 10th of December. On 10th of December, there was a major change which happened in the market. European Court. Sorry, my handwriting is not that good. The European Court basically gives three options to UK in some way. One was that it can either stop the entire process which I just mentioned to you, the Article 50 triggering process. It can stop the process of going out of EU, but it imposed a condition that it has to be democratic in nature. That is, it cannot be decided only by the people of the parliament. The country must decide that whether they want to stay in EU or go out of the EU, and if they want, they can stop it. The second part is like they can extend the timeline of 2 years, extend the timeline of 2 years, provided all the 28 countries agree. Okay, which I'm going to talk into more detail. Okay, let's talk. This is also a very huge possibility. So both of these are coming as a very huge possibility after this verdict. Reason being that in UK there are 8 political parties in total. The two major ones are the Conservative Party, in which Theresa May belong, and the second one being a Labour Party. So what Labour Party is trying to do right now in UK, and this is what you will see most of the time in the news, is like Theresa May being of the Conservative Party, her party is now, not all the members of her party is backing her deal which she has reached out with the European Union, Brexit deal. So what it necessarily means that in case Theresa May doesn't get a mandate and the Labour Party can force a general election, then basically what Labour Party has already promised is that it will do two things. It will first of all again do a referendum asking people that whether they want to remain in EU or go out of EU. If people voted still that they want to go out of EU, then they will try to utilize the second judgment of the court on 10th of December, that is extend a timeline of 2 years so that they can present their own version of the Brexit, which according to them will be beneficial to Britain in general as compared to what Theresa May has agreed upon. So it's more about their Brexit version. So these are some of the very high level stuff which has happened in the Brexit till now, and what things you should be knowing. So few of the key things to watch out in the market in next few months would be, given a timeline of 29th of March we are dealing with, whether Theresa May gives enough support of a Conservative Party so that we have a Brexit deal. Secondly is, can Labour Party force a general election so that we can have a referendum, or whether they can present their own version of the Brexit. So all this are yet to be seen. So I hope that you guys like this short video of Brexit. I know it's not too detail oriented, but the objective is it gives you a very high level view of what Brexit is, so that when you read the news next time, you are able to fit in to the broader picture that yes, this is what is happening in the market overall. In case you like the video, do subscribe to my channel and also visit my website www.smallcapvaluefind.com. Thanks a lot for watching it.